So September 25th, got a bunch of new models and a few features I'm going to walk you through because we haven't done one of these for a little bit. So I'm going to try to get back on track and do this a little more often and show you some of the fun stuff we've been adding to the UI. So let's switch it over. All right, I'm going to go through the current model offering that we have here. So first off, we have Amazon Titan Premier. Amazon Titan has been in the UI for a while, but Premier was recently released, and it's really good model. I've had a lot of success with code generation, programming questions with it. And then we have the Claude Anthropic models here. So you'll notice Haiku and Opus are still the 3.0 release, and they have released 3.5 for Sonnet. Quick rundown: Haiku is the cheapest and fastest, Sonnet is kind of the middle layer, and Opus is kind of slowest but most sophisticated, they say. So that's kind of how Anthropic grades their tiers, and we're going to get into it in a sec. But Gemini 1.5 Flash and OpenAI's 4.0 Mini, those both, they've been in the UI for a bit, but these companies drastically cut their cost for API, which has been updated. So we might need to add another little icon here to show you kind of pricing and what models are the least expensive, because the pricing war has begun, okay? So if I had to guess, when they release Claude 3.5 Haiku, I bet that's going to be part of that pricing war. That'll be their first shot. And so we'll see, but I'm not really sure when 3.5 is coming out for Haiku or for Opus, kind of TBD. So next we have Cohere. Cohere is an awesome company. They're focused on enterprise models. Whatever that means. It's kind of general use technology, so it's good for all the things, but they say theirs is kind of tuned towards enterprise applications. But Command R plus, the R plus is their more sophisticated model, and when I say more sophisticated, that often means it takes a little bit longer and it costs a little bit more. But we've labeled it Command R as the best, and we've labeled Claude 3.5 Sonnet as the best model. And what the thought process we have there is it's kind of the most capable, but also the best pricing. So you're getting the most bang for your buck, and that's how we determine what the best model is. Because honestly, there's not a huge difference in capability in some of these. So, but let's check out Google stuff. So we have their 1.0 Pro, 1.5 Pro, and like I was saying, 1.5 Flash, which is really inexpensive, part of the pricing war. So we may remove 1.0 Pro here soon and just carry these two. I like to keep the models really curated so it's not confusing the users, and you get the best stuff, but sometimes the ability to compare previous versions is also kind of interesting. So you've probably noticed we have Llama 3.1, two of their different size training data for these models. 405B is the top one that we have labeled here. Both are very good. Often if you compare them side by side, you kind of get similar results until you get kind of more complex prompts or longer conversations, is where you might notice some difference with the bigger model. We still have Mistral Large. I saw Mistral Large 2 is now out. We'll be adding that shortly, so stay tuned. And we have, so I'll get into OpenAI in a sec, but we have Perplexity. They have a Sonar Large model, and Sonar Large is actually Llama 3.1 fine-tuned. So I think it's the 70B model, but I may be mistaken. So OpenAI, tons of new updates from them all the time. It seems like they have these latest versions kind of on deck, ready to be released to take over the news cycle, and as soon as anybody else releases something. But I have no inside knowledge, so that's just my read based on the public marketing campaigns and releases here. But 4.0 is out. 4.0 Mini, that's the one I was talking about. That is drastically reduced their pricing per token, so it's super inexpensive. And just released is GPT 1.0. So we just integrated this today while I'm making the video. It'll be pushed out to production shortly. And then we have, of course, GPT 4.0. Very debatable which one of these two is the best. 1.0 is not labeled as the best because it is slow and expensive, like 3 times as expensive as 4.0. And by the way, this naming convention is terrible. Like, I don't know why OpenAI is doing this. Typically, you go like version 1, version 2, version 3, and it progresses like that. But now we have 4.0, then we went 4.0, it's not 0, then they had their mini model, and now it went back to 1.0. So who knows what the next one's going to be. We jumped from 4.0 to 1.0, so maybe it's going to be 2.0, but yeah, I don't know. That can clearly cause some problems if you continue down that path. But maybe they change it up and it's like GPT ice cream and they go, Google naming convention at some point. So let's check out the image generators. You will see here tons of new models. So in the last 2 months, there's been new models like Flux. There's been updates for every model. So I'll just go through them real quick. So again, Titan image generator, like their language model, they now have V2 out, and it's awesome. I'll do some comparison videos so we can kind of get the current state of image generators, and you can see them all side by side. Black Forest Labs came on the scene about a month ago, maybe more. Time flies. And they actually have 3 models, and right now these are hosted on Fowl AI. We recently got access to Black Forest Labs API, so we're going to be swapping out that and maybe add their other models. But again, I kind of like to keep this limited to the best models, so you don't have a lot of debate over which models for what use case, and because there's not a whole lot of difference between their 3 models. They're all pretty good. Or actually, the Flux model is really good. I'd say it's the best model in the library right now. I'd say closest model available to like Midjourney level renderings. So it's awesome too because it's open source. So definitely the best open source model available for anybody right now. Black Forest Labs, really cool. So Google also, they came out with their Imagen 3 and Imagen 3 Fast. And so you'll see we have turbo model for Ideogram, fast for Google, and that's kind of similar to what's going on with the language models with the mini model and the Google Fast, Gemini Fast model. It's faster, cheaper, a little less quality maybe, but depends on your use case, how you kind of integrate those and make it what stage in your chain you're using them. You can often save some money when you're really looking at like scaling this stuff by using like the fast models. So we have 2 Google Imagen 3 models. We have Ideogram, which is amazing. Ideogram has been out for a while, but they recently released V2 and they released access to an API. So we now have 2 of their models in the UI here. Ideogram has always really excelled at text generation. When they first came out, that was like their big, progress over everybody else, that nobody else could really do text like they could. I think that's still kind of the case. They're still, best at like text illustration style renderings. Leonardo.ai, really realistic renderings, but this new Phoenix model is super capable too. I'm not sure what it's based off of. I think their original model was based off of SDXL, but I'm not sure about the newest one, but it's really good too. So we still have OpenAI's DALL-E 3. It's same as it's been. DALL-E 3 is great. It can comprehend big long prompts, but it's obviously tuned in a way that has a lot of guardrails. It doesn't allow you to create very photorealistic sort of images. which I think they're doing that for a reason. But really good for certain use cases. And Stability now they came out with the SD Image Ultra, but all three of these are really good. And we keep SDXL in there also because it's really cheap, it's really good, and it was kind of, one of the first models that came out that really, set the scene for, what was to come. So we keep it in there for comparing. And it's good in its own right for a lot of stuff too. So that's all the stuff I wanted to show you. New models that we have added. We have this little bit of functionality that we've added too that's kind of nice. You can buy yourself, a few hundred pixel horizontal width. So when you're, adding a bunch of image generators to compare side by side, you can get a little bit of extra room there. That's everything for the latest model library and what we have in the UI as of late September. More to come. Try it out. Enjoy it. Give me your feedback. See you soon.